the details matter in every business, every relationship, conversation, all of those things, especially in this business. Like if you want to set yourself apart, you have to pay attention to the details.
Welcome back to The Burn. This is a really special episode. I have Josh and Rauchel Koehnemann from K-Build Design. This is going to be an incredible opportunity for you guys to shift your mindset in multiple areas. So I'm going to set the table a little bit here before we get rolling. Josh actually reached out to me, and it was a very interesting conversation. I had been at my max capacity in terms of taking on coaching clients, and we had a conversation. I learned quickly from this guy, he doesn't take no very easily. So he reaches out and he's like, no, we're gonna work together. And I was like, well, I don't really have the capacity. He's like, no, we're gonna work together. And what he actually said, which was a really nice compliment, I would say, which I appreciated. He said, I've been following you for 3 years, and I think you're the only person who gets up every single day as early as you do, and I do the exact same thing, so we have to work together. So after we had that connection, I said, all right, like it is on, we are gonna work together. And I have learned so much about these two individuals that I had to have the opportunity to sit down with them for you to learn about their burn. We are right here in the K-Build Design headquarters. They have some of the most incredible houses here in the St. Louis community. Their work is now catching national attention. We're gonna make sure that you guys get the opportunity to see some of their houses. You have to check out all their social media, but their work is incredible. And what's most incredible is how they think. It is so unique how they choose to think. Josh started in the construction business and carpentry business 19 years ago. Now they're banging on the door of 20 years. And the uniqueness is Josh always looked for the edge in the details to create the opportunity to do things bigger, to do things better. And then when he and Rochelle had the opportunity to meet, then it was like game on. Then it was like the two of their minds together, they can't be touched, and they do things better than anybody within this city and probably in the country. So what I would really like to start with, Josh, is take us back to why you started in this industry. And then you talk about the burn, right? To think the way that you do, to push the way that you do, having 4 beautiful children that you guys are raising, that makes it busy. So what is it for you? Where do you find that motivation, that burn, to not just do things right, but to do them differently?
I want to be the best. I mean, the best everything. That's just my mindset has always been, I knew I could do it, regardless of what my grades said in school, because I didn't even graduate high school, believe it or not. So I got an A in wood shop, I got an A in math, I got an A in weightlifting, and I think I got an A in art class. And then the rest, I never even took my SATs. It's just because I got an A in everything that I cared about. And then the other things, it wasn't that I couldn't do it, it's just I just didn't care at the time. And so, literally that was all the things that I still use to this day, what I actually just cared about. In high school was the same things I care about now. And, that's my career, has all of those, intertwined. But my burn is the fact that I want to be the best. I want to be the best husband, the best Christian, the best father, the best business owner, the best. I want to be the name in St. Louis that people can trust when they say, who's going to build my home next? Who's going to build my custom home? Because we're mainly focused on the custom side of things. We're not really in the subdivision side of things. So I want to be a household name, and I want to be known for the details because I love them on all aspects.
So thinking back 19 years ago,
yeah,
when did you start painting the vision? Because you really, I want you to answer this part for me too, because I love the fact that you attack everything and you want to be the best. But what made you fall into that mindset of things have to be done differently? Because you really, both of you've decided to do things differently.
I think my dad always told me that I'm different, like in a good way. He just said, from when I was a little kid working in the yard with him, he'd say, you are the hardest worker I've ever seen. So I literally took that, and then he always would say, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. He would always say that to me, and so that's always stuck with me. So no matter what I do, whether it's fitness, whether it's trying to be a great husband, a great father, a great builder, a great boss, a great employee of my customers. I want to be the best. So like whatever my hand finds to do, it's my obligation and my duty to be the best. I mean, that's literally how I visualize everything. And visualization is like my main thing. Everything that I visualize, eventually I will achieve. And that's how I visualize this building I'm in. I used to drive by on the highway all the time, and I don't know why, but I would stare at this building. I would stare at this building year after year, and literally today I own it. Same thing with where we're building our new home. It's like I visualize this little bitty farmhouse property that I seen, and I just stared at it for 2 years. Like, just drove by it. I'm like, I just visualized my house on it, and then I bought it because that's where I wanted to see my family build our dream home, so to speak, for us. And it was just visualization is so important, in my opinion. And if your obsession becomes your possession, and if your dreams are big enough, there's no goal that's like, unattainable, in my opinion.
And so I love the way that both of you think. I love that intentionality of the thinking. Now, I got to set the table for Rochelle, because you guys are going to realize why the two of these individuals are in love and they're married, because the way you challenge your capacity is pretty awesome. So in our work together, I've seen you always wanting to push to be your best. You doing bodybuilding, you being a mother to 4, right? So all of these things that you have done, and then running this unbelievable business with a focus on intentionality and growth, and then even other things, opportunities. Well, will you come speak at this Christian conference? And you're like, absolutely, I'll come speak at this conference. And so conversations where most people would say, oh, I don't have time, like really appreciate the offer, but we're really busy with some project maybe in the future. And both of you decide to take it on. And then typically when we come in, you guys are pounding waters, eating your pre-prepared food. And I think so many people make excuses in life. And what I don't see with both of you, which I think is a testament to how you pour into your employees in a very unique way, and I should really say family members, not even employees in all of our conversations. But so how did you become so intentional? Where does the burn come from for you, Rochelle?
For me, it's, I'm from St. Charles, was just a family that didn't come from much, and really just always, there's just a burn inside of me since I was so young, like, this just isn't enough. Like, not being content. I've been content the whole way, but just a fire inside of me saying, like, there's something better for me, and if I fight hard enough for it, why should where I come from, it can't determine me, I determine me. And so, just pouring myself into every bit of myself into my work. It didn't matter if I was, on salary somewhere, my hours didn't matter to me. I was gonna do my work to the best of my ability, and it turned into just being the highest performer at every job that I had, and pushing everyone around me to be better, and then that lit me on fire even more. And so I would kind of cap out at each spot and progress into the next position. And then understanding, like, when I met Josh, that, what makes companies desirable is offering something that someone else doesn't. And so kind of figuring out what our niche was together to change the game in construction. And now it's kind of, the basis of my burn is for my family, just totally wanting my children to have a different mindset and to understand that, like, where they end up is determined by what they're willing to put into it. Simple as that. If they don't want to strive the extra, if they don't want to do the extra, then they won't achieve the extra. If they want to be average, then continue to do what everybody around them does. And so just wanting to change their mindset and change the game, and really the whole thing is changing the game for my family, that, like, the buck stops with me.
I love that. And it makes me think of what Coach Saban always says at Alabama, is the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And so hearing what you're saying, if everybody's paying attention, is the way you parent, the way you show up intentionally here as a leader running a company that is growing as fast as possibly can, is you're very intentional, and all the details matter. How many times do you go into somebody who's building homes and you see an office? This is the office, right? Yeah. We're not in their home right now. This is the office. So talk a little bit about the importance of details.
The details are everything. I can walk into literally what has made our brand with our customer and our customer base is 100% the details. They know that if I'm on every job site every day, and my customers love it. Like, I'm probably a little bit past the point that I should be doing that. In a sense, I should probably hire that help, but it's like my passion. So those details matter. My guys know that it matters to me, so it matters to them, and the details matter. I can go in and we will, when we say we're done, I usually have another week of details in that house.
Or when a client would walk in and say, like, I have them say all the time, like, I mean, when are we going to be finished here, though? I'm like, I know you feel like you're bleeding out a little bit. I'm putting Band-Aids left and right. We're closing up the wounds and we're buttoning it up. But this is, when you move into your house, all of these details that we're finalizing and critiquing and perfecting.
That's what they live with.
They live with. And that's what you notice when you live in it.
Yeah. Because I have a lot of clients that we maybe didn't build their house, but we do work for them. And they always say, it's just the details that, from the builder or the build. And they call me in to fix those details because they know that I'm going to catch it. And then I think that kind of spills over to everything I do purposely. Like the details matter in every business, every relationship, conversation, all of those things, especially in this business. Like, if you want to set yourself apart, you have to pay attention to the details.
And so details and push, as I mentioned, show up in all areas of your life. So I'm gonna change gears here, and I'm gonna talk to you guys. Many of you have seen videos of me talking about challenges that I've taken on, 30-day challenges when it comes to working out. And one of them started when I read David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. And you're reading the book, and all of a sudden, David Goggins offers up a challenge, like a 30-day challenge. What's something that you would do? And I write down immediately planking. And the reason why I wrote down planking was because of you. And so I write down planking. I didn't know what it was going to be, but Josh, every day when he works out, he does 20 straight minutes of planking. So you talk about mental toughness and push. So here I write down planking.
Right.
It took me 2 weeks before I even started, right? Because we played these mind games. So here I am, the coach, right? I show up in all these areas of my life, push myself, challenge myself, but I waited 2 weeks to start. And then I actually protected myself. I started at 4 minutes, and I think I'd actually told you guys I'm gonna do an extra 2 seconds a day.
Yep.
Most I'd ever done was 5 minutes. So over 30 days, I'd work back up to the 5 minutes. And I go to speak in Sacramento, and there was an individual that I was speaking with. They got up to work out with me early in the morning. There were 3 of them. And his name is Miles. And Miles, I'm telling him, I'm so fired up, I'm doing this planking. I told him all about you, and he's like, dude, you're protecting yourself. He's like, you're going to work up to a 5-minute plank. He's like, you could do that right now. And you're like, who are you to tell me that? Like, this is like, I thought this was a great thing. Like, why are you not? And all of a sudden I said, I was right. I was protecting myself. And I think for everybody, I hope you guys can hear their answers as an example of what areas are you protecting yourself. Maybe it's your nutrition. Maybe it's how intentional you are at home. Maybe it's with your religion. Maybe it's with work, right? You guys show up in all these areas. So I pushed. I said, I'll add 15 seconds. Some days I'll add 30. And I ended up getting up to a 16-minute plank. And then his crazy ass decided to start doing 21 because I was catching up to him. So I just wanted to share that because most people don't push themselves. And even when I pushed myself, I protected myself first. Then I was challenged, and now you and I are doing all kinds of challenges together. That's that iron sharpens iron mentality. But if you could help us better understand, final question for each of you. Most people hear 20, why would any individual ever do something like that? And I think sometimes we say things, it's another thing to consistently show up and do it. For you, when you're training for a show, right? It's one thing to say, I'm gonna do this. It's another thing with everything you take on to consistently show up and actually do it. Right. So if you could both mention for everybody, what's your belief on the importance of consistency? Not occasionally doing something, but consistently connecting to the burn, but then also to your action.
You can't, okay, so a lot of people say, how do you stay so motivated to go to the gym? How do you stay so motivated to, work 12, 16-hour days, whatever? And it's not, there's no motivation all the time. It is, there's always motivation, but I always get fired up, especially when I have a meeting with you or I get a new idea. But then when that motivation wears off because you didn't get to bed till late last night and you're getting up at 3:45, the reason consistency is so important because your habits have to kick in. And if your habits don't kick in, and if I have habits, then people think I'm motivated, but my habits are so routine that they keep you on point. And that's why it's so important to me to create habits, because consistency creates habits, and habits create results, basically. It's how I look at it. Because just the planking, like people would say, why are you doing 20 minutes of planking? Because I kept challenging myself to get better. So I started with like 2 minutes of planking, and I was like shaking, and that's what I did. I just did the 2 seconds.
And most people stop there.
Yeah, I did 2 seconds more a day because I wanted to see what my potential is. Like, that's what I love to see, because I have so much, and so everybody has so much, and you don't even know what you can do and what you're capable of until you push yourself to the next level. And so I would go 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. You look back in a year, and you're like, wow, I'm at like 12 minutes. And then I'm like, I can keep going. That's not all I got. And I do 2 seconds, and then 2 years later, I'm at 20 minutes. And the reason I stopped at 20 minutes is because it just took too much of my workout out. So I just do 20 minutes because I won't go backwards. And if I tell myself I'm going to do something, I don't lie to myself, because if you lie to yourself, if you always do what you tell yourself you're going to do, you will build your own confidence up. And so if you don't, I think self-consciously you kind of build it up or you take it away. And I don't ever want to take it away, so I continue to build it up. And so small actions always produce big results.
Rochelle, how about for you?
I really believe that your consistency increases your capacity. So, I have a girlfriend that I work out with on Friday mornings, and her excuse to herself was like, how can I work out? I have 5 kids. And she said, and when I met you and you have 4 kids and you work out every day, I decided that I have to just stop making excuses. And so, your capacity changes. Like, I wouldn't have been able to 4 years ago, 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, been able to do what I do today. But over the course of the years, I take on more. If it's a speaking engagement, if it's working out, if it's another project or whatever it is, like, you increase your capability and your capacity by your habits and by your consistencies. So like the last show that I was training for, it was hard for me because I wasn't used to being in the gym 6 days a week. And so that was like taxing because I had to manipulate my calendar to make that work. And then now the show that I'm training for right now, well, I've stayed in the gym just like the last show. So now it doesn't change my day at all. It's just part of my day. So I'm like, I just have to tweak my diet. Well, I already eat really well. I already prepare our meals. And so like, I just have to like not have cream in my coffee. And then I'm training for a show, even though I'm just basically living the way that I live. It's not hard anymore. And so then I'm like, all right, so, well, if that's easy, then what's next? And so you grow your capacity by changing your consistencies and your mindset and understanding that you're capable of it. You just have to stop making excuses. People have excuses for everything, whether it's coming into the office and what's your capacity and how much work can you handle, or how many clients or deals can you close. Challenge yourself, challenge the people around you, give yourself something to fight for, and it changes what you're able to take on.
So here, I have to finish this episode in this way. You say no excuses, which I love. And every time I'm here, there's never excuses, right? I mean, if we pinpoint here for the business or these conversations, you guys are always all over it. It's a no excuses mentality. You do show up consistently. And the last piece is the burn, connecting and doing things for the right reasons in so many different areas. So with that being said, I want to challenge everybody. I don't always necessarily do this at the end of an episode, but I want you to take a look at the next 30 days and challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to pick an area where maybe you've been making excuses, where you haven't been showing up consistently, where you haven't been connecting to your burn. And recognize that when you have accountability and you're working towards something together, you can achieve so much. So challenge yourself over the next 30 days. Use Josh and Rochelle as an amazing example for what that looks like, and go attack it one day at a time.